Josh, for offering your time. So nice to see you today.
Great to see you as well. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So I'm really interested in talking to you because I know we're in the same cohort, and with COVID-19, I feel like future students, especially the ones coming in September, could really use your advice, hopefully. So diving right in, I just want to know, what was your background coming into the program?
Coming to the program, I had graduated from the University of Guelph, and I had a double major. The first was in criminal justice, public policy, and the second was in political science.
Okay, so it's no surprise then why you chose this program. Did you find that this program really helped develop some new skills, or it was better from other programs that you might have looked at?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing about Ryerson for me in terms of like the skill level was definitely collaboration, and also some of the the day-to-day policy analyst skills you need. I know that the policy analysis and challenges course was, I think it's done with Janet Lum, was one of the major.
Everyone mentions that course.
Right, exactly. And it just teaches you some of the hard skills you need to learn in terms of jurisdictional stance, some of the major considerations, and like your day-to-day actual policy work that you complete. And I think that that was a great starter for me. I think that that's one of the things that should have been highlighted more in my for the program itself. But in reading the fine lines of some of the course outlines, I was able to get that.
Right. And we were just talking about how you were doing a co-op placement right now. Can you go into detail about that?
Yeah. So I'm currently with the Ministry of Children, Community, and Social Services as a policy intern with the Strategic Policy Division. So it's been a great summer so far, and a lot of my work has to do with jurisdictional scans. It has to do with a lot of like the research that your supervisors will be looking for. But yeah, no. So and then as well as a lot of collaboration. So the Strategic Policy Division, we work across the ministry. Helping direct other people. We're a major support team, as well as we have our own projects. So I think that it's a lot of different components to the work that I do. But it's been a great time overall.
Right. So because of COVID, do you think that your experience with this co-op would have been different if you were working in the office versus just at home?
Well, for sure. I think the biggest thing would have been just if I was in the office. Yeah. One, I think I'd be doing a lot less work. So working from home, you get assignments, you get due dates, you get all. Whereas, and you're expected to get it completed. And I think I really like my division because no one really cares about how many hours you're working. Right. They just care that you do very well on the assignments and that you get it done in time for the last. So I think that you'd have a lot more flexibility in the office. Right. I must add though, like I think working in the office, you get to have a lot of the interpersonal skills that you develop in policy work as well. Collaboration is a lot better in terms of being able to just go a floor or so up or a couple offices down and talk with the team. And I think it would have been a lot more, like the work environment would have been a lot more flexible in the office. And you really get to see like policy work done in real time and these real considerations. And also, I think that just in terms of building relationships, I know that a lot of people want to actually have jobs after this. Yeah. It's a lot more difficult to accomplish when you're working from home.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you work in units or teams. Despite working from home, have you found that everyone is very good at networking, especially with newcomers, co-op students? Are you able to really get to know your coworkers?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of my so when you get into the ministry, wherever you start working, they normally pair you with like a senior policy analyst. Right. Generally speaking, it's someone senior, and I'm lucky enough to be paired with someone that's working very closely with the managers and directors on a number of very important projects. So you end up building that relationship either way. You have a mentor. You'll find that your managers also meet with you, bi-weekly as well. So you get to get that interpersonal relationship with them. In terms of the other policy co-ops that I've had, we've really been like each other's rock this summer.
Yeah.
Every morning we would normally check in with each other, and I work really closely with her as well because a lot of times we'll be assigned the same task.
Exactly.
So I think that's been great. And you still get to build those relationships because people want to get to know you, but of course it's a little bit more difficult to read a room, etc. when you're working from home.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And do you find that there is a set routine for your work? Like if you wake up every day, are there like a specific number of reading notes, or okay, this time to this time I have to do research? Like what's your typical day at work? Like
there's no typical day. Not in the middle of a pandemic, unfortunately. Right. So I find that a lot of my days are just neither here nor there. It would depend on whether or not we have a deadline. A lot of the days you'll spend reaching out to people and having conversations and getting to know what kind of work they're involved in as well. Simply speaking, though, like you want to try to get signed on sometime around 9 o'clock, 8:30 for me personally, and then, I mean, you'll find that just especially during COVID, you have all these meetings, right. So you're literally always in a meeting. Like conversations that would happen like in passing in the work environment.
Exactly, it takes more time too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, you're in a lot more meetings, and that ends up taking up like blocks of your time each day. But other than that, like your typical day is you'll be working on some type of document. You may start your day off reviewing, the documents that you might be working on later on today, and then towards the end of the day, you'll be winding down, replying to emails, sending off a ton of emails with work that you should have had completed.
Yeah, for sure. No, it definitely does take a lot of time. Before COVID, I know you were one of the participants for the case competition. Can you go into detail about that? That's one of the most interesting things that I think the program has to offer. So I definitely want to hear about that.
Yeah. So the case competition this year is one of my better experiences with our program. I personally, I had a great time. I think that like anyone that gets into policy work that wants to have that in-depth like knowledge of the policy process would benefit from something along the lines of the case competition. You get to do something very similar though, luckily through Ryerson's program with the cabinet submission. But definitely the case competition is a lot more weight on it, and it's a lot less time to prepare. So it's an intense, I'd say around 5 to 7 days, but really over the course of 2 months of training, preparation for the process.
So who was helping you with the training?
That's the best part, I'd like to say, is you get to work closely with what we had was we got to work closely with Carolyn, as well as, let's see, so you had 2 coaches.
Right.
One of the first coaches was your public servant in residence. And I can't even imagine how much of a great support he's been. But then you also have another coach. So I guess the best part is working closely with faculty, and getting hands-on, experience from them and kind of their perspectives, and seeing how they can guide you through the policy process, as well as a ton of feedback that you get from public servants that get to come in for performances that you put on or presentations you put on along the way, and different fields as well. So you get a lot of support and feedback throughout the process, and you gain amazing presentation skills, as well as a wonderful trip somewhere. And this year we got to go to Quebec City.
Yeah, that's great. So it's just so interesting to see how from the tryout or the interviews to the training and then till event day, it's been such a great experience. Do you have any advice for students coming into the program in September? Anything you want them to know or something you wish you knew coming into the program?
That's a hard one. I think I'd say hit the ground running, but take your time. So there's going to be a lot of things happening throughout the semester that you're going to want to be involved in, and at the same time, there's going to be a lot of work that you're going to have to balance and get done. Especially if you're someone that like me that was commuting all year, a lot of times it was a lot of work. So I'd say take your time with and be picky about what you choose to involve yourself in. Make sure you're able to give it 100%. But at the same time, I mean, I hit the ground running. don't give up opportunities to get involved and to network, and don't miss the benefit of, or don't undervalue the benefit of networking and getting involved. And I think that half a policy degree, because you only have 1 year, I think that the major thing is to get involved with your peers, go to the extracurricular events, support your program, but also go to the alumni events, right? So yeah, hit the ground running, do all these things that matter, and don't get too caught up in just schoolwork, but also give 100% when you can in school. So that's my advice, but definitely get involved and you'll see the benefit of it. I'm seeing the benefit till this day, currently in my analyst position. I met someone along the way during nationals, and they happen to be one of the senior policy advisors in my division.
That's great. Yeah, you really get to know people working in the field, and definitely networking is one of the biggest or strongest things that you could have on your side. What's one memorable event you hold or you remember since September, besides the case competition and beside COVID? Something, if you're gonna, like, years from now, if you think back to this program, what's something that's just gonna click in your head, like, oh right, that time was fun, or maybe not fun, something memorable?
Man, I gotta say that's a really tough one. Can I give you two?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, I gotta start with the cabinet submission. Stakes were high. It was really important day. Yeah. We wanted to get it right, and a lot of prep went into it in the weeks in advance. And I think that it was just a day that we really got to put a lot of our policy skills, and it was a gut check as well. Are you learning the things, the competencies is just supposed to be learning along the way? Yeah. And I think that without question, we learned as a group that day that this program works. This program will give you the skills needed to be a policy analyst, but also transferable skills for other fields. And that if you really take this program seriously and put the work in, as well as, you reach for all those other resources and use the resources available to you, you will do very well. And yeah, so cabinet submission, I think, was one that will always stick out to me. Yeah. And I'll never forget my group members from that. Yeah. Okay, one more event. I'd say that every Friday night, after our class first semester, it was what class were we in? I think you remember. It was the Friday class with our public servant in residence, and I don't know why I'm forgetting his name right now.
I don't think I took that course on the Friday. No, I didn't take that course, but I heard it was really good.
So you completely missed that course then?
Yeah, I know, but I heard so much about it. I feel like I took it. Wasn't it policy enrichment, something like that?
Yes, it was a policy enrichment seminar.
Yeah.
And I think that that was where we actually ended up, that led to us doing the cabinet submission as well.
Okay.
So definitely, I'd say the policy enrichment seminar was a great experience.
Yeah.
But every Friday we'd all go get drinks right after class at the Ryerson Ram. So it was the pub that we had there for this semester. And Frank was also an amazing coach throughout nationals. But yeah, so we'd all go there after class, and I think that it was first semester we really got to build relationships, get to know each other, and have a good time, and celebrate the end of another long week. So that will be always something that I'll never forget. A lot of the nights that I had there with my peers.
Right, exactly. That's good. And would you say this program encouraged you to do things that maybe your undergrad didn't? So are you the same Josh from undergrad, or have you seen this drastic change through the year since September?
My first drastic change, I'd say, in academia came around maybe second year of university. Yeah. And I've kind of been trying to get more and more involved since then. Yeah. I'd say this program, though, it had me for the first time start to look at the practical side of what I was learning. Prior to this, I was always just taking in information and being happy about the information I was learning, but never really understanding how I'd be able to use it in a formative way. And I think this program went from, education, academia to skills development and the practical use of what you were learning. So I think that was the first time that I, in my education, seen that that build between the two, the connection between the two, and I think that that's one thing that's forced me to do. And also, I think that I've done things, I've competed over the years, but never on like a national scale. And I think that it's kind of pushed me as well to be a professional.
Right, exactly. And I really like how the program, it doesn't just teach you things or concepts, it shows you, or they have people coming from different fields, and who better to teach you than the ones working in the policy field, right? Like, we're so lucky to have that. And so would you say, how was the transition from, I guess it was March when Ryerson closed, right? Because of COVID, was it March? I think it was. Yeah. How was that? Like, in-person class 1 week, and then it's like, oh, it's all online now. How did you find that?
Yeah, it was like, well, the day I found out about it, it was like doomsday. I was supposed to be teaching a seminar, and I was, I guess my students had found out on Twitter the same time that I did, that our school was closing down. So it was honestly, I must say it was a pretty smooth transition. We went right to Zoom classes.
Right.
I don't think we had really used Zoom before March. I'm trying to think about when we had used Zoom.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
Yeah.
I think
everything was just in person. We had so many presentations. The way things changed, I was speechless. I just couldn't understand what was going on.
Right. And like now I'm using Zoom, and it feels like I've been using Zoom forever.
Yeah.
But really and truly, we didn't start using Zoom till I think the last week of March, and we started transferring all our classes there. I'll say faculty, our professors worked really, really hard to ensure that we had like a smooth transition. I really appreciate that. And I think overall it was tragic, because it was like, man, our year got cut short, and we had so many more experiences left to have as a group. Some of which I hope we could still kind of rally back for towards the end of the summer, as we move to stage 3 of this pandemic. But I think that it was like overall a good transition because of the fact that we had the support of professors, flexible due dates, adjusted timelines.
Deadlines. They were so. I personally found that they were pretty accommodating to everyone's needs, and even like presentation formats. I know Carolyn in her class, she was like, okay, we could just do a PowerPoint, or someone could talk. It was like so flexible, like you said. I thought it was nice.
Exactly. Yeah, that was really helpful.
Okay. And then my final question, and you probably get this question a lot, maybe from your parents, but where do you see yourself in a few years from now?
I probably stared this question in the face every day in my personal life, especially my parents. But no, I think I want to be a lawyer. A
lawyer?
Yeah.
So you want to go to law school?
Yes, I do. So I'm currently studying for my LSAT. So in the evenings after I'm done work, so it works out pretty well because I get a few extra hours each day to study. But after I'm done work, and I go right to my LSAT study, and I hope to be going in a year or so from now to law school.
And I feel like the policy background will be so good for you.
For sure. I think that learning about how government works, and I think that I also do want to get involved in a lot of civil advocacy, as well as public policy, and organizations like the John Howard Society, Elizabeth Fry. So when I think about those organizations, they're really heavily embedded in policy and constitutional work. And I think that now this improved understanding of how government works, and also some of these skills that I'm gaining now.
Yeah, definitely.
Will help me in my future career as well. And I definitely do want to reach back and get involved in public policy in the future.
Right, definitely. I could see you as a lawyer. I could definitely see you as a lawyer. See that working out. So that's great. Josh, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure students coming in September, especially with this new COVID thing, it's so uncertain how classes are going to run, but I'm sure that they'll definitely benefit from your advice and experiences.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Warda. And I hope you've had a good summer, and please don't be afraid to check in, and if you ever need anything, send me a message, and I'll definitely check in with you as well.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear from you.
Good to hear from you. Take care.